Conversations with Azu Ishekwele.
Last time we did bring you a prelude to the American presidential elections, and in it we anticipated that we'll bring you a postscript, the aftermath, and a review of the outcome. And today, that's precisely the reason we are here, to talk about unusual reasons. Our article today is titled Unusual Reasons Africa Wanted Trump to Win. And with me on set is Azu Ishekwele, the writer of the column published on the back page of Leadership newspaper and syndicated across many platforms. You're welcome to Conversations, Azu.
Thanks for having me once again, John. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So the elections have come and have gone, and Donald Trump has been elected. We want to talk about Africa. Africans are aware that Donald Trump doesn't like immigration policy, free entry of Africans into the United States. Africans are aware that Donald Trump refers to their countries as shithole countries, amidst other, derogatory remarks about the continent and even their persons. Why do Africans celebrate the fact that Donald Trump was victorious?
Thanks for having me once again, because several reasons. In fact, I just, and this is just by the way, someone sent me a message yesterday just reminding me that Donald Trump's last daughter is married to a Nigerian Lebanese or a Lebanese Nigerian, and that they are currently resident in Nigeria. So there you have it. That's one reason why perhaps some folks here.
That sounds square.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. To deal with the more substantive reasons, in my view, or suggestions about the unusual clamor for Trump by Africans, I think I mentioned a number of them. Clearly, one of them, in spite of the many derogatory references that Trump has made to Africans and to the people of color, is the fact that Trump is seen as a bulwark, as a defender of conservative values, as well as some of those values that relate to sexual orientation. For many Africans, that I guess is a big deal. So, but what you then ask yourself on that point, before I mention the other ones, Trump, if it's on the basis of morality, right? For example, then you then look at Trump's own life and ask yourself, what moral example has he set in terms of his relationship with women, how he has conducted himself? Is that is that a lesser sin compared to his, or will that be forgiven in light of his conservative views regarding his rather conservative views regarding? So there's a problem of equivalence in my view, if you take that. But whatever it is, that's one of the reasons. And of course, another one, there are those who I describe as having some sort of malicious favor towards him. Say, look, it's good for us, it's good for Africans, it's good for us that we should have, that there should be a U.S. president who is tough on immigration. Perhaps that would mean that more of us would sit at home and our leaders would be forced to fix the country so that more Nigerians and more Africans can stay in their country. There's also the perception of Trump amongst many Africans, especially a number of those that I spoke with, that with Trump, what you see is what you get. So if he says, I'm going to do this, then you better get ready, he's going to do it. So these are, that they compare that for good or evil. Leaders in Republican countries who they say are not trustworthy. If Trump is, in quote, the devil, better to deal with him than
the angel you don't.
So that sort of view. Interestingly, that's, in my opinion, is not only a view that is peculiar to Nigerians or to Africans. A number of blacks in the U.S. There was a poll that also indicated that a number of blacks in the U.S., especially those under 50, 1 out of every 4 of them sort of favored Trump. And in spite of the very horrible things that Trump said, you also be surprised to find the amount of Latinos who voted for him in spite of everything. So it's something about human nature, that also it's a revelation about human nature that makes you wonder.
We anticipated a tight race. I mean, people following up on developments in the United States anticipated a tight race, but it ended up the race in 2016 with Hillary Clinton between
was even tighter than the outcome. Yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's. I wrote an article in July, although at that time I was rather reluctant to support the entry at that time of anybody other than Biden. I thought that Biden should be supported to finish the race against Trump. But then people had started to hint very strongly that Kamala might be the favored one. And I think I made the point in that article that there are things that we all tend to take for granted, in my view, about American society. Trump was supposed to be an exception to the rule, but every day we find that Trump's values are being normalized. Trump has become a reflection of mainstream America. I mean, I don't know what anybody else can argue to the contrary after what we have seen in the last couple of election cycles. So I guess that's what it is. I mean, Trump has become the face. Trump is the face of real America. And that's what we have to live with for the next 4 years.
A quick follow-up.
And then regarding although there's been some progress in terms of how Americans generally respond or react to women holding the ticket, because more, I think that there's some data somewhere that said 25% of those in the U.S. Congress are now females, and that's an improvement. But interestingly, there was an elephant in the room, clearly missing by media around the world. That's the hidden voters. And those hidden voters were absolutely below the radar in all the polls. And I said in July that those hidden voters who are Trump stars to be healed might be a huge deciding factor. And that, in my view, they came out in their numbers. And that is the reason why you had what was supposed to have been, or what was widely advertised to be, a tight that advertised to be a tight race. Turned out to be, if you like, it was really a landslide.
In 3 successive presidential primaries in the United States, Trump has won to represent the Republican Party.
Yeah.
I mean, is this some sort of enigma?
No, it's not. It's not an enigma. The Republican Party, I think, sort of lost its way, especially in the post-Obama era. But Trump has managed to not just capture the imagination of the Republican Party; it has captured the heart and soul, and culture and political culture of American society. And so the Republican Party now bends a knee to Trump. The party is beholden to Trump. It's Trump's Republican Party. And I am afraid it's going to be like that for a while. It's just not. He has the Republican Party in his in pocket. And that's what it is, and that's what it is. I mean, if it's what Americans have voted for and what they love, good for them.
Africans don't joke with liberalism. Africans don't want anything to do with wokeism. They want the fact that a man is a man and there are no genders in between male and female.
Yeah.
This factor also explains, or does it have an influence on the way African American vote, in addition to
Yes, I mean, when it comes to perception or sexual orientation, many Africans are very conservative, and you would follow that by, following the trend about how many African countries have reacted to the push by the West for them to normalize LGBT in their constitutions. They virtually have refused to. It's a no-no for many African countries, and I think to some extent also to blacks in the US and Africans in the diaspora. So that's really a huge issue. But also, if you look at the history of the Republican and Democratic Party over time, interestingly, the Republican Party was actually the anti-colonial party in the US, and people tend to forget that. All right, it's the party that was opposed to colonialism, in contrast to the Democratic Party. So that's also something that, if you like, is on the plus side for them. I also think that in terms of economic relationship between the US and many African countries, I think that under many Republican leaders, Africa has tended to benefit more in terms of economic relationship than if you compare the dispensation of
Democrats.
the Democrats, and whether it's the African Growth and Opportunity Act or many other economic policies that are supposed to encourage entrepreneurship and trade, instead of aid, which is what the Democrats tend to favor, and particularly for Nigeria. And I think that this is a good place to make that point. I remember that under Barack Obama, at the height of the Chibok girls problem, Barack Obama refused flat out to provide military assistance because of what the government called at that time systematic abuse within the military. But as soon as Trump, just whether it was a matter of self-interest, whatever it was, but Trump delivered the support that Nigeria, needed at that time. So these are very complex and sort of paradoxical situations between the Republican Party and Nigeria and many African countries, which I think may also have influenced the way a number of Africans view the outcome of the election.
And finally, we may expect to see perhaps a quicker end to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but can we expect the same of what is happening in the Middle East? I mean, Gaza.
I'll hold my breath on that, because I've just said this morning that Prime Minister Netanyahu has spoken to President-elect Trump 3 times within a space of 1 week. I don't know how much favor Palestinians can expect. But interestingly, in Michigan and other places in the US where you had, whether it was a protest vote, wherever where you have significant Arab and Palestinian populations, they voted Republicans. So it's what it is. I mean, people cannot say the outcome of this election was not what the Americans or people who voted, whether they're Americans or non-Americans, wanted. It's what people went out and intentionally asked for. But we just hope and pray and see what the midterm elections would bring. But for now, it's a long, hard, uncertain road, but one which people intentionally chose to walk.
It is what it is, and this is where we draw the curtain. On Conversation with Azu, for more on the article Unusual Reasons Africans Wanted Trump to Win, read Conversation with Azu on azuishekone.com. Thank you for joining us, Azu.
Thanks for having me.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Conversations with Azu Ishekone.